Booya and myself are working for quite a while in this area where we say, okay, what's so special about RISE integration? It should be the same as normal integration, but it's not. And okay. So why would you need a RISE survival guide? I mean, there's a gigantic Word document as well, but here we just present it for an hour, what is needed. So one thing is the integrated tool chain. Yeah, you should use it. The other thing, which is most important, is which roles do you need? It's different from the roles you would need in a pure on-prem landscape. Then a SAP for me, which is your main tool, I go through it for working with RISE, besides EIS. And then a few things about cloud architecture, landscape, naming convention, and so on, which are, not too complicated, but you can do pretty good mistakes if you go in such a project from the beginning. Day one, you can make everything much worse for you. So to prevent this presentation. Okay. No, sorry. It's jumping a bit from left to right. So we identified one role which you need additionally. We have some rules about namespaces. You don't have a free decision about it. That's the main choice or main point. Then if you have namespaces, you need certificates. If you have bad namespace decisions, you have bad certificates, and then the rest is not going to work. Then which integrations are best? No, you need everything, sorry. And then the software applications around a RISE environment, which you need, which you didn't need on an on-prem landscape so far, and you have to deal with it. And here it's something about the timing. If you think you need something, install it. It's faster than waiting and for a decision. It just costs time. Yep. And of course, RISE should be more than just I move a system from A to B, and then it's doing the same thing like always. We want to move with clean core in mind and with BTP in mind and with AI in mind and everything. It should work in the end. And so you have to do a few things the right way. Let's see this about integration or organization. Yeah, usually you have an integration governance board, an enterprise architect, a project steering. Yeah, most important, but not important for the project that it runs, that you can install and do something. You need a project team which works on those tools, and you need a customer IT which handles the basis tasks for you. And actually, it should be more or less identical, because project team, if they do stuff and customer IT doesn't know what you did, you will have a problem in the end, hand over documentation and so on. So they should be together. And of course, ECS, your RISE organization, which does everything for you if you ask them. So here about the core basis team, and core basis. So it's operations and build. And these tools, you will work daily with them, this team. So the team should be able, everybody in the team should be able to work with a cloud connector, to work with a web dispatcher, to work with SAP for me. We come to that later. With authorization and trust management, you need it daily. This maybe not daily. So you need certificate handling on a daily basis, global account, sub account, Cloud Foundry, and entitlement. You work with this every day during integration projects, of course, when some things on the S/4HANA system. You need SAP Cloud ALM, and you have to implement the monitoring, for example, into SAP Cloud ALM. You have to use transportation management into SAP Cloud ALM, and then you have a landscape monitoring and operations monitoring right away on a high level, very convenient. And of course, process integration you can't avoid as well. This is why we are here, more or less. But you need all those tools in the core basis team. If you don't have somebody in this team dedicated to this system, or at least 2-3 people dedicated to these systems, you will have a hard time managing the integrations, which can be quite complex. Just don't split it up. Everybody in one team, not something else. This is one thing which is important. If you have it split up, you have always people not involved in the project who are not so much interested, not so up to date what you want to do when you need them to be. So just normal people do normal people stuff, and yeah, the bigger the company, the worse the people can be. Or not the people, just dealing with them. So let's go to SAP for me. But one essential tool which you need to steer everything around RISE. If you need a firewall opened, you need ECS. If you need a DNS name, you need ECS. If you need a client copy, you need ECS. Whatever you want to do, which is below pure application level, you need ECS for it. And you have to deal with it and steer them. So, and they are responsible for your systems or everything below. So, but the one thing which is important, if you start a RISE project, in the first 3 months, you have a dedicated ECS consultant. He will help you setting up the landscape, the task handling, and the solutions. If you have a team already, damn it. Sorry. If you already have a team, he can train the team in using me.sap.com and how to deal with ECS. If you don't have a team ready, the ECS consultant will be there 3 months, has nothing to do, doesn't complain about it, and you lost a lot of time and speed in the project. It's 3 months. If you don't use it, bad. So you can train, and you should train your team during these first 3 months. And once the project is running, don't be shy and assign S users to everybody who requests something for you, which leads to a service request, who has an OSS message, which must be followed up. If he's assigned, he's getting informed. If he's not assigned, yeah, you have to do the job. Or whoever is working on me.sap.com has to do the job and inform them. And just to show that this me.sap.com is extremely, and ECS is extremely good organized. All the security patches you have in a list, and with one mouse click you could request a security patch. So ECS is there to make you, and the me.sap.com is there to make your life easier. Just you have a bit work on it that it's efficient. Good. So all the needs, everything you can do, just verflixt. Little screenshot, and you have 162 different service requests, which can be quite complicated. And it's everything from an assisted service request. You just ask a question, you get an answer. Core operations, which is client copy or user management or something like this, on client 00, of course. On database management, upgrades, and so on. You can request them here, but of course, you must be able to fill in the data properly. So it's going to be simple and it's complex. complex ones are yeah, most likely you need more time, more questions, and so on. And everything is, of course, 24/7 available. So it's not an issue to ask somebody or ask ECS to do something at 2 o'clock in the morning because it's convenient for you and fits your schedule. Good. So you have to deal with it with me.sap.com if you want to handle RISE and ECS. So here you can see the different categories and the lead time for average lead time which you find at a request. So the maximum was 16 days, which I found in those 162 service requests. That's a lot if you need it badly. So you have to plan ahead. You have to know where you need these service requests. You have
I think Klaus has some technical issues. Is it only for me, or Puya, do you also?
Yeah, it's for me as well. It's
Maybe his internet connection is a bit weak. Let's give him a minute.
Yes.
Something on the from ECS for non-productive system on the weekend. This is for production system. And you don't notice it's just the next available schedule is on Monday, not on Sunday. Even if you request it on Thursday. Good. So, and they will always have questions. If you ask, they do something at 2 o'clock in the night and you get at noon or at midnight, you get a question, you have to answer it or you lose time. So maybe plan ahead. You're available. SAP for me, we talked about. You need SAP Identity Cloud.
Sorry, Klaus.
Yeah.
One second. Your connection was lost for a short time.
Really?
Maybe you can disable your video if that helps.
Yeah, sure. I can try. Moment. Okay. And then share again.
Yeah, perfect.
No,
Thank you.
share, but I have a, yeah. And use a PowerPoint. Okay, good. And of course,
I think another screen.
Yeah, I know. This is always jumping to the wrong monitor. Okay, here, SAP for me, I talked about. The tool chain needs Signavio and LeanIX, and of course, you need Cloud ALM completely. What you need additionally is an internal ticketing system. So it should be done and discussed during you set up your integrations. In the end, the customer must, or you must as customer, monitor later on your integrations. And you want to do it via the ticketing system. And the way is you distribute everything to the Cloud ALM, where you have monitoring available. And from here, you can send this via pre-prepared integrations to ServiceNow, for example, or to Jira or something, or whatever you have, if it's integrated. And so from your integration suite, or is it the backend or everything, you can do the monitoring in Cloud ALM. From there, it's all gathered to clustered together to one stream of error handling, and you can put this into internal ticketing system, or you can send out emails, information emails to whoever should work with this error. You need, ich krieg hier echt. So, and you need the SAP Identity Cloud, again, nearly on a daily basis during your project time for all the setup and configuration. That's something you wouldn't do on a normal on-premise landscape where you have already your way on providing users and so on. But here you need it for role and user distribution and for single sign-on, which is from RISE and on BTP, one single sign-on. It doesn't matter where you are, you have one single sign-on to all those applications, which is extremely convenient for the end user, but you require for this a SAP Identity Cloud. And application certificates if you want to exchange messages between both connected SRS systems and BTP and S4. You need this really a lot. So you need people being able to work with it. Here, a bit more of a tool chain, Signavio for the process navigator. If you set up a project, it's convenient to use Signavio to find out about the standard processes and which interfaces are in this process and so on. And it's good documented, and you have, it supports the processes. If you model something yourself, do it right away in Signavio, or don't do it. Use just this process modeling, do the documentation later, but better do it first. LeanIX, it pulls from Calm the project, it pulls from Calm the whole landscape. And then you can build on this information, which is available in Calm, on and build your whole landscape diagrams and data flow diagrams and everything. Convenient. And then integration assessment, when you go to Calm, when you have LeanIX, and the story goes on round and round. One by one, you can improve everything. So this is a process which you already know most likely. And now the one point where you maybe could do the biggest mistake in your whole project. I try to explain it. So RISE has naming conventions. So you have virtual host, blah, blah, blah. And so when a system has always customer.domain, or not your customer.domain, whatever you choose to do. But it could be a not so smart choice. And it has SAP in it. And here you could have, or you will have, the data center in it as well. You don't need the data center. You shouldn't use the data center. But you have to use the whatever you have in front of it, .sub.customer.domain. This is here. And of course, it's relevant for HR. If you have a HR environment, if you do this in it, then yeah, you have is really jumpy. Sorry. And yeah, naming convention. And the whole naming convention should go on to the cloud, which you have. For example, workzone.cloud.customer.domain or the workzone.btp customer domain, something like this. And yeah, just DCL, PCL, you don't have to look it up. It's always called proxy, the proxy, nice by ECS. And here, the one point, keep the RISE customer domain identical to the local customer domain. If your customer domain is called customer domain, then in RISE, you will get sub.customer domain. The system is sit.customer domain for the web dispatcher, but you have to assign it manually or by service request, sorry, not manually. You have a host.sub.customer domain. You have to plan ahead for the BTP. So I suggest you have btp.customer domain, for example, api.btp.customer domain, and you assign it via the custom domain service in the BTP. Or workzone.btp.customer domain, or idoc.customer domain if you want to have a managed subrouter and external RFC access. And reason is, if you have it this way, then you can create a certificate, a wildcard certificate .customer domain, which is known by everybody in your company. Everybody has this certificate available. You don't have to learn it. You don't have to distribute it separately or something like this. Everybody knows it. So it's easy for everybody to remember where is the SAP system, where is the work zone, and so on, because this is their domain. And the other thing is, with the certificates which you create, one certificate allows you that so one certificate distribution inside your company allows you that everybody can access the S4 systems in RISE. If you have something else, most likely your customers will see this. This site is insecure. Do you really want to proceed? And they say, no, thanks. Good. So for the user, this is relevant, but it's also relevant for SNC. If you want to set up SNC, secure RFC, in the network, you have to do it with Seeburger BIS, and you most likely have to do it with other systems in your landscape. If you have one wildcard certificate in your SNC environment, setting up SNC is easy. If you have something weird, because your IT doesn't want to deal with RISE. No, we don't want that. Give them a different name. You will never manage to set up SNC, which then will kill your project in the end. It's true. It happens. You cannot establish secure connection. You need a secure connection, and you're done. Or your time frame is done, and you get delays and so on. Try changing all those domains later on in the project once you notice it's not working otherwise, and prove that it's not working otherwise. That's the hard part as well. So lots of trouble. Take these domain suggestions and adjust it to your company, and you don't have so much trouble. And yeah, of course, change management and user acceptance is better if you really have one domain, and it's not something totally foreign they don't like to have. So here, and for example, here I've managed sub-router for GTS. You would need it. So it looks pretty easy if you set it up this way with just these domain names which you access. If it's strange, well, here it's iDoc customer domain. It expects an SNC and a certificate with customer.domain. And your sub-router expect the same, and so on. So with one wildcard certificate, which is available on all the systems in between, you don't have any problems. But yeah, and here, same, you need an, Seeburger BIS requires HTTPS connection as well, so you have to set it up. And with this naming convention, you're pretty much safe. And you can set up SNC. This is mandatory for Seeburger BIS, that you have set up SNC. So timing, I've talked about this earlier. You have to have your basis team ready. Day one. The 3 months are ticking. And during these 3 months, you have to try to set up the web dispatcher and the DNS entries and the single sign-on, SFTP, the mounted devices. For each S4HANA system, assign a port for free to the web dispatcher. You don't want your users to remember some weird port like 44300, and the browser expects 443. So why would you not assign it, but it's not by default assigned to the web dispatcher for free. Is a blocked port within RISE unless you open it. So use your ECS consultant to set this up. You can do this easily within 2 months, not a problem. Aber if you have to do it later on, it's really hard to get it done. Good. Then, yeah, SP level, best practices, install it right away. The earlier, the better. Just bring Fiori in, bring extensibility in. Everything which you don't do in the beginning will make life much more worse later. If the workshops are starting with SAP GUI instead of Fiori, your users will already think everything is SAP GUI. It's not S/4HANA, it's not Fiori. Then you have to retrain them. Or if you allow that somebody is enhancing some tables manually instead of extensibility, then you have to enhance manually every Fiori app, every OData service, every SOAP management, instead of if you use extensibility and it's available and you have trained your team, it's more or less, again, a mouse click. You define the field, you define where it should be extended, and you put it in place right away. One mouse click, you have every interface enhanced. I mean, of course, everybody likes to do it manually and developing and so on, and wants to show off that he knows SAP GUI, but it's not good if you want to have a clean core approach. You need this stuff in place, and you need these first 3 months to set everything up. So if you waste it, it happens, but it's not good. So timing restrictions. Okay. When you're in RISE, then SAP is SAP is responsible for the security, everything below application level. Everything on application level, that's yours. But security says, okay, no, we have Linux only, forget about Windows. Security says, no, you don't get operating system access, you don't get file system access to the application servers. Just dream of it, you don't get it. File system is needed when there's a way around it. Request a mounting of a device. After all, you have Linux, you can mount a device on a different server. Okay. And if you need to access this from outside, BTP, then put an SFTP server on it, or let an SFTP server present it to you, to the outside world or to the inside. But you don't have actually file access. And as much as I would like, I cannot avoid having file access in all the projects. Then you don't have more or less any saying in client 00. Yeah, you can have a user for setting up web service runtime. You have to do it. You have to set up a Calm integration on client 00. Yeah, you can have a user for it. And it's deactivated after 2 days and has only the limited permissions to do the task which you requested. So very limited access. You have to get used to it. And of course, no VPN to corporate, no DNS zone transfer, no DNS names, no firewalls, nothing. Everything is ECS. Then the one thing which is good, wasn't good earlier, a few years back, from RISE to SAP Cloud, the firewall is open, so you don't have to request it. Your BTP, you can reach it. Your SaaS services or applications, you can reach them without asking for opening the firewall. Upgrades are only done by ECS. RZ10, you can view, but you shouldn't change anything. It's the domain of ECS. Don't do it. You won't have ever HTTPS on those systems. It's only HTTPS. So no HTTP. There's no PIPO unless you really are insist that they do it, and then you are not going to be happy with it, I assure you. And you don't have system landscape directory because it comes from PIPO. So you have to bypass the requirement for SLD. So for example, in DRF, data replication framework, you can maintain the logical system to business system mapping. Sometimes you're not doing everything with DRF, you need it somewhere else. Then there's LCRT, client cache, you can maintain it manually. There are a few more integrations where you can maintain it in the SPRO, this logical system, business system mapping. But it could be that you need this one. Then, as far as I know, Edge integration cell is not yet on RISE. And the question is, why would you need it? And of course, you have special cases. We data agent for DataSphere, the SAC agent for CPS data services agent. They are managed by ECS, and you get it installed. You have to request to get it installed, and yeah, managed by ECS. You have to get used to it because it's more or less OS system level access to manage them. Landscape architecture. This is here. All the different ways how you can do integration to the outside world. So VPN, network peering, everybody knows it. You have a CPS data services agent for example, Ariba. You have a SAC agent, which pulls data for the SAP Analytics Cloud, or you have a DP agent, which pulls data for the SAP DataSphere. And of course, you have most of the time the cloud connector for all those integrations here. And then you can have a SAP private link for very special cases. And you have an ECS managed SAP router if you have to connect to SAP GTS Seeburger. So you need RFC and SNC running. So RFC, a secure RFC connection here to ECS. Maybe you have other requirements for this, and then you need this one, ECS managed SAP router. You cannot do it via Cloud Connector. Cloud Connector is bound to the BTP, and Seeburger is not BTP, pretty much never. So, and now, hey, I'm good in time. Here, an example how an integration could look like and why you need a team to deal with it. This is BNFL, Business Network for Logistics. So you have already an integration suite, fine. You have already an S4 center, you have connected the BTP with a cloud connector, fine. Now let's start. Yeah, you have to set up a special supplier account in your system. So you need a global account admin to do this. Then you have to be a supplier sub-account admin to do the system connection. Then you have to have a business, so a consultant who is able to manage the business profiles. Then, you need a carrier sub-account another time. And of course, again, NLB NID, you need a business consultant. Then you have to set up the integration suite. That is extremely good integration. So it's just two iFlows, inbound to network, outbound from network. That's all. Everything goes over these two iFlows. Really great. Good. Then on the identity cloud, you start creating the key pair for your trust. go to the key store explorer, which you should have somewhere, because this key must be converted to a P12 certificate. Then it must be uploaded into the system connection, the P12 certificate. Then you have to add the key pair into the integration suite, the key store. Then you get the next certificate from the BN4L integration suite, which is managed here. You have to download it and you have to upload it in the key store in the integration suite. Then you have to manage the business rules, have to do the same on the S4 system. Then you have to manage the business rules in the carrier sub account, have to do the same in the S4 system. Then you need an instance process integration runtime. And by the way, a few more a few more instances on the BTP. Here you have a client ID. Then you have the endpoint URLs which you must match, and you have a SOA manager which you have to configure. You have to manage the outbound connection, download the certificate, discover and invite your business partners for testing, and transform this certificate into an PSIM cert, upload it into a certificate key in your instance, and then S-Trust only for the integration suite. And I think, yeah, nochmal SOA Manager for inbound, and here inbound, and maintain it. And you're done. So you're jumping during your integration through several. So if you don't have a team which can do everything for you in one go, you're jumping from team to team to team in your organization. And you end up having 10 people in a call. 9 of them are not so interested, and you're talking to, well, something and try to test it. Then you test it, then you have an error, then you have to find the error, then you have to look at each and every system. I mean, here it could be on a cloud connector, it could be in the SOA manager, it could be everywhere if you have an error. Only if an end-to-end test was working, everybody is out and the connection is done. But this is why you need a team. If you have this distributed over so many people and teams within your organization, then you're not getting anywhere. This is okay, it looks a bit complicated, but multi-bank connectivity is not much easier if you take this. It's always, you go through all the applications to be able to test it and set it up. And once you have set it up, check it, week later, do the production system. Less chances to forget something or have different people involved which do not know what was done earlier. So that's it. Takeaways. Yo. Yeah. Let's go to question and answers. Good.